Let's get started in enabling Braintree in Magento. In the dashboard, we're going to go to the left menu, click on Stores, and then Configuration. Then we want to scroll down to the Sales category and open that up, and click on Payment Methods. The first section listed Featured Adobe Solution. We can click on this Close button so that we don't have to scroll that far down, but then the next section should be titled Additional Payment Solutions. And the first method listed should be Braintree Payments by Gene Commerce. We can click on Configure to the far right. For title, we can put a more descriptive message such as credit/debit card. Make sure your environment is accurate if you're working on your production site. Otherwise, you can change it to sandbox if needed. For the first 3 Braintree credentials, you should find them by logging into your Braintree account and clicking on the gear icon at the top right and clicking on API. I already have mine copied, so I'm just going to go ahead and paste my merchant ID here, my public key, and my private key. We can change Enable Card Payments to Yes. If you wish to allow your customers to store their cards securely during checkout, you can also enable Vault and change this to Yes as well. We can now move on and open the Advanced Braintree Settings section by clicking on it. The final Braintree credential is Merchant Account ID. If your Braintree gateway only has one merchant account, then you can leave this blank as it will just use the default one on file. Otherwise, if you want to specify it, you can log into your Braintree account, click on the gear icon at the top right, and click on Business to obtain your merchant account IDs. I'll paste mine here. We can leave most of the default best practice settings as is. For debug, let's change it to yes so that we can collect logs to help with any future troubleshooting. The next major section that requires some settings is Fastlane, so let's click on that and let's go ahead and change this to yes. You're welcome to open up these styling options up here, and as you can see, you can modify them, but I'll leave it as is for now. Let's open up the ACH section here. It's important to note that Braintree gateways don't come with ACH enabled by default unless you specifically request it during onboarding or if you submit a help ticket to enable it. So only change this to yes if you truly have it already enabled and need it. Otherwise, make sure to keep it on no. Let's open up the Apple Pay section and change the first option to yes. As you can see in the description in this section, there are still more steps for testing, as well as you need to enable your domain in your Braintree gateway by clicking on the gear icon on the top right and clicking on Account Settings and enabling the domain in the Apple Pay section. Please read the links in the description to guide you, as there is a step where you must host a specific domain association file in a specific directory on your website. And Magento works with routing logic where an experienced Magento developer will be needed in that configuration. Let's open up local payment methods and change the first option to yes. Once again, you can leave the best practice settings as is, but you're welcome to change them if needed. For Google Pay, let's open it and change it to yes. With Google Pay, you must first apply and get approved at Google Pay's website. And once approved, you will be given a Google Pay merchant ID. This comes from Google and not from Braintree, so make sure that you list it here correctly. If you're doing sandbox mode, you can keep this test mode string here. You also want to make sure that you go to the account settings page also on your Braintree account and enable Google Pay there. It's just a toggle. Next up, we can open up Venmo and enable it by changing this to yes. Once again, in the Braintree account under account settings, make sure to also enable Venmo and go through the Venmo application process inside of the Braintree account as well. You'll see very few options here. You're welcome to change any of them if needed, but otherwise, let's close this and go to the PayPal through Braintree option now. I'll switch this to yes. Enable PayPal credit through Braintree. We can also set that to yes if it isn't already. Vault enabled may work for you for credit card options, but for PayPal, enabling this at times can reduce the pay later options displayed, so we can change this to no unless you require it for your business. I'll leave most of these options as is and make sure you leave this require customers' billing address set to no, because orders will fail if you don't have this option enabled in your PayPal account. It does not come pre-enabled and you must submit a ticket to get that enabled. You will still get an address from your customer if you ask for it in Magento. The address for this option is referring to billing within the PayPal account directly. For debug in this section, let's also change it to yes so that we can continue collecting logs to help with future troubleshooting. Remember to make sure that your PayPal account is also successfully linked inside of your Braintree account in the same location under account settings. For 3D Secure, if you are in a region where you are mandated to enable this, or if you just simply want it enabled, you can change this to yes, but make sure you request this feature first in your Braintree account during onboarding or as a ticket. Otherwise, we can leave it on no. And for the last section, click on Dynamic Descriptors. We can leave all of these blank. Braintree will use the information given to us during onboarding. If you want to override any of these options, feel free to do so, although you must follow the fine print exactly as it's formatted. Even if one character is off in the formatting, payments on the website will actually fail. So you want to make sure that you test this first to ensure that the formatting is correct. Now we can scroll up or just click on Save Config. And that's it. We have now successfully enabled Braintree in Magento.